Welcome to another installment of Deconstructing Babylon, where we discern the signs and symbols of the mystery religion of Hollywood Babylon. I'm the Discerning Clerk, and I use a biblical framework to deconstruct my favorite movies from the 90s.
Noticed your eyeglasses. They don't have any lenses in them.
They're my dad's. The lenses hurt my eyes.
We've officially done 50 deconstructions of mostly 90s movies on the channel, with no end in sight. If there's a title you want me to deconstruct, drop it in the comments. I hope if you've been here a while, or even if this is the first video of mine you've watched, that you learn something new by what I share. I'm on a constant learning journey, and my consistent study of scriptures only adds to what I share here. For instance, I'm currently reading the prophet Jeremiah, and he speaks frequently about Yahweh's whirlwind. So much so, I may go back and redo the deconstruction of Twister. But it's also why I say I don't get everything right, and I never will claim to. And also why I say not to take my word for it, but to know the word for yourself. If there's ever anything you think I miss or get wrong with the symbolism, I hope you'll share it in the comments so we can all learn together. I appreciate you being here because I know my takes are red hot and not for the faint of heart. Today we're deconstructing the symbolism of the animated hybrid basketball comedy Space Jam. This one was released in 1996 and only gets 2.5 stars from the Video Movie Guide, which kind of surprises me considering the cult status it now has 30 years later. While it has its heart in the right place, casting Michael Jordan as a hero willing to save the cartoon world, this is a harebrained mess. Haha. First of all, Bugs Bunny never needed anyone's help in the past to overcome impossible odds, so why does he need Jordan to outsmart some intergalactic baddies in a basketball game? Not the baddies. Short shrift is given to most of the Warner Brothers cartoon stalwarts in favor of refugees from Saturday morning style tunes. Little kids will love it, but fans of Bugs, Daffy, Porky, Elmer, Tweety, Sylvester, and Foghorn Leghorn are advised to steer clear. Rated PG. Clever puns and mistypes aside, this reviewer clearly has beef with this hybrid-style movie and wanted more from the core Looney Tunes. I'm just grateful they put Marvin the Martian in this movie in space. Let's just see what we see in Space Jam. It's been a minute, but the first image we are shown is the stars in the night sky and a bright full moon. The moon and stars were created simply as luminaries to light the dark night, but they are often worshipped as gods in and of themselves. Pan to a young MJ in the summer of 1973, practicing basketball late into the night. Seems like they are making a correlation between the moon and Michael Jordan with this type of imagery. Young Michael's dad comes out and lets him shoot until he misses as the boy makes plans for his future.
Then I want to play in the NBA.
The opening credits roll with a series of dunk shots of Michael Jordan's professional and college career, proving he's always worn the number 23. Now, I know it's his jersey number outside of the movie, and Warner Brothers isn't about to change that, but this is still Hollywood Babylon at the end of the day, and the number could have additional meaning. Either 2 3s, or 33, the highest master degree of Freemasonry, or 2 times 3, which is 6, the number of a man. After this extended trip down memory lane, we get into a time when Michael retires from basketball, shortly after his father dies, and moves to minor league baseball. This really happened in his career, and I think it's funny to satirize it. Though by the time this movie was released, Michael had already turned to basketball with the Bulls. We pan up to the night sky and the full moon again, past the moon, into outer space, and into the make-believe animated world. As we zoom into a maniacal amusement park, we see Saturn in the background. Saturn is the Roman god of time, wealth, and abundance. In Greek, he is known as Cronus. In Hebrew, he is known as Satan. Saturn is where we get the name for Saturday, and the enemy's counterfeit of Yahweh's set-apart Sabbath day. The mention of Saturday morning cartoons in the synopsis is what makes me bring this up. We enter the park through an open mouth and see some scary rides as some riders are tossed onto a checkerboard floor, which is another symbol of the Freemasons. Now we meet the alien monster villains, the baddies, if you will. Swackhammer is the big boss, and the little nerdlucks are Pound, Bang, Bupkis, Blanco, and Knot.
That's the word I was looking for!
These so-called baddies run the failing galactic amusement park and need new attractions for their customers. The Nerdlucks are charged with bringing the Looney Tunes to this planet of play. Back on Earth and Michael's failing baseball career, Frankly, no one wants to see a superstar leave the sport they were born to play.
Thanks for autographing that basketball for my kid.
The Nerdlucks crash into the earth and they go deep underground to find the Looney Tunes. They break through the animated sky and we finally see the bunny we've all been waiting for.
I'll be with you in a second, folks, after I finish with Nature Boy here.
Only the Tunes can break the fourth wall. Classic. The Nerdlucks don't seem to know that Bugs is Bugs, and he plays along, of course. Bugs Bunny seems to only speak in sarcasm. The Nerdlucks open fire on the rascally rabbit and demand he round up his friends to go back to Moron Mountain, the amusement park. Michael gets home from a disappointing game to be greeted by a dog, a bulldog named Charles. As we know, a dog in a movie is Hollywood's way of mocking God using the occultic law of reversal. I'm sorry, what's good? Not like this dog bit or attacked Michael in any way. He licked his face. Anyway, we meet Michael's wife and children, including his son, who's also had a disappointing baseball game. Back to the Looney Tunes, who leave their broadcast and gather for an emergency meeting since Bugs was abducted by aliens.
We are taking you to our theme park in outer space.
No fooling.
Where you will be our slaves and placed on display for the amusement of our paying customers.
Bugs deflects the Nerdlucks from taking everyone as slaves by making up a rule that they get to defend themselves first. And apparently the Nerdlucks are rule followers. So some of the tunes confer about how they can best beat the tiny aliens.
We challenge you to a basketball game.
The Nerdlucks know they can't play basketball as they are, but neither can the Looney Tunes. Anyway, the Nerdlucks attend an NBA game to forcibly borrow skills from some of the best players in the league, including Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Muggsy Bogues, Larry Johnson, and Sean Bradley. This theft sends shockwaves through the entire league as other players fear losing their skill.
Yeah, it could be invasion of body snatchers.
Yeah.
When the Nerdlucks absorb the stolen powers, they become the Monstars, and the Looney Tunes know they're screwed.
I think we might need a little bit of help.
Out on the golf course, Michael is playing with the actor Bill Murray and fellow former NBA player Larry Bird. Underneath the green, Bugs manipulates his golf ball into the hole and then lassos Michael into the hole after it.
What kind of camera is that?
Would you not point that at me?
Michael is dragged through these underground tunnels into the animated Warner Brothers world. The tunes surround him and Bugs fills him in on why they need his help.
You see, these aliens come from outer space and they want to make us slaves in their theme park. What do we care? They're little, so we challenge them to a basketball game. But then they show up and they ain't so little. They're huge! We need to beat these guys, because they're talking about slavery. They're gonna make us do stand-up comedy, the same jokes every night for all eternity.
Michael is reluctant to help his hostage takers, claiming he's been away from the game for too long, until the Monstars show up and push him around a little.
You're not scared of them, are you, Michael?
Meanwhile, back on the surface, the no longer skilled players are trying to figure out what happened to their basketball playing abilities. They try every kind of doctor, every type of test. They even try prayer and confession.
I'll never go out with Madonna again.
Interesting. Madonna, the pop star, is known as the Queen of Pop, and just like Elvis, the King of Rock, the so-called kings and queens of the entertainment industry are, in my opinion, the rulers, powers, principalities of the darkness in the world and spiritual wickedness in the heavenly places. Madonna is also an alias for the Virgin Mary in the Roman Catholic Church. She is worshipped as the Queen of Heaven, so the name and reference both have a dual meaning. Michael finally agrees to help the Tunes, to get them in shape and teach them basketball. But he can't do it in golf spikes and dress pants, so Bugs and Daffy go to his house at night to get his basketball gear when they come face to face with the bulldog Charles, who guards a pivotal piece of the gear.
I found the short.
Michael's children help Bugs and Daffy and swear themselves to secrecy about their famous father being kidnapped by literal cartoons. Meanwhile, the now unskilled players seek answers from a psychic, or medium. With tarot cards spread out on the table and a crystal ball front and center, they try to channel their powers.
I see aliens. Little aliens from outer space.
This reminds me of a story in the Bible when King Saul was trying to seek a word from Yahweh, who would not answer him, and the prophet Samuel was dead. So Saul sought a woman who could speak with familiar spirits, called the Witch of Endor, and she brings up the spirit of Samuel, who rebukes Saul and the terrified woman from the grave. With the proper gear, Michael is ready to play the game he thought he had given up. Up in the 3D world, with the lack of answers about the basketball non-players, the NBA commissioner shuts down the league.
There will be no more basketball this season.
But the 2D world is about to fight for their lives and freedom in a game to end all games.
Those monsters will wish they'd never been born.
Of course, the Monstars completely dominate the court, and Michael carries the Toon Squad basically all on his own. At halftime, Michael tries to rouse the team with an inspiring speech, but Bugs knows better and tricks his teammates with Michael's secret stuff.
This goes against everything they taught me in health class.
You want to win or not?
Now armed with his psychosomatic cure, the Toon Squad turn things around. Michael is so confident he can lead the Toons to victory that he offers himself as a slave to Big Boss Swackhammer. Doesn't he even consider his family, his own children?
Doc, you think that's a good idea?
The Monstars take out nearly every player on the Toon Squad and narrows them down one by one. They nearly have to forfeit until actor Bill Murray shows up as the needed fifth player.
I didn't know Dan Aykroyd was in this picture.
How meta. In a tense 10 seconds of final play, Michael takes advantage of the nonsensical nature of the Toon world and stretches his arm to make the winning basket. The Monstars have to give up their powers back to the NBA players they stole from.
Do we have to?
They turn back into tiny nerdlucks, and they don't want to return to Moron Mountain, even though they launch their boss to the moon. They beg Bugs to stay underground in the Toon world. Michael returns to the surface, not from underground, but in the Nerdluck spaceship. He comes to play his baseball game, and then returns the stolen talent to his former competitors.
Why don't you stay and play some 3-on-3 with us?
As the movie ends, Michael returns to the game, the league, and the team he left, but not the number 23. The last image is Michael wearing number 45 for the Chicago Bulls, doing what he does best, dunking that rock. The Looney Tunes hold quite a lot of symbolism, just as cartoons. I've said this before that I don't believe cartoons were ever meant for a child audience, but are instead made to present adult ideas and ideologies in a palatable and humorous way. And the imagery, characters, and storylines contained in the Looney Tunes have always been just that. Looney Tunes, spelt Tunes, evoke silly, strange, or demented songs and music. And music was created to be an act of worship. So the idea that music is nonsensical or loony is pretty demonic if you ask me, because it ought to be reverent. Admittedly, there was no song sung by the animated characters, but they are always referred to as Looney Tunes, not Toons, tunes, short for cartoons. What surprised me was they were all found living underground, and they only came to the earth from the deep. This seems a pretty blatant admission that the animated abominations are, in fact, demonic. Their goal is to deceive and even shame its audience. They are constantly at each other's throats because violence is funny. And Bugs Bunny isn't a bunny. A bunny is a baby rabbit, and Bugs is full grown, right? He can only speak in sarcasm and denies the creator.
You know, maybe there is no intelligent life out there in the universe after all.
The space aliens, though framed as the villains, seem to represent the angelic Elohim. Though I don't believe in outer space, the angels from heaven do exist in the second and third heaven. And of course, the big boss is villainized, a counterfeit version of the Most High. He values his customers the most and would enslave the demonic Looney Tunes for their enjoyment. In the end, the Nerdlucks reject their strict boss and switch sides, desiring to live underground with the Looney Tunes. Again, this is framed as the aliens wanting to be of the good guys, but it's counterfeit. I hope you see that. But this movie wasn't really about the cartoons. This was a movie about Michael Jordan. The GOAT, his royal airness, the titles he's been given that also make him a ruler, power, principality of spiritual wickedness in the heavenly places. He played for the Bulls, the Red Bull, the Baals, the Red Baal, Lucifer himself. It's where the movie began and where it ended. They used real facts about him, including his name, his number, his career, and deeply traumatic personal events. He retired from basketball the first time after his father died, but he didn't just die. He was brutally murdered. The NBA had a ton of real-life people feature in this film, and I'm not sure if they had a downturn of viewership or attendance of games so that they would participate in Hollywood. Though there's a fine line between the bread and circus of professional organized sports and the organized false religion that is the foundation of Freemasonry and the Roman Catholic Church. The lengths the players went to in order to get their powers back actually surprised me. If the doctors don't have the answers, if the shrink can't help you, the priest doesn't know what to do, and the psychic gave you an answer you weren't willing to accept, well, Michael Jordan, the GOAT, becomes your savior. The movie starts with a father and his only begotten son, who grows up to be a savior. Not just for the other players, not just for the Looney Tunes, but for an entire generation who worships and venerates this man. And his participation in this movie endorses the worship that he seems to want. But he's just a man. He's not the Messiah. And he's not the moon. But he is a star. Alrighty, that's all for this one. Quick and dirty. Thank you so much for enduring to the end. Give the video a thumbs up if you agree and a thumbs down if you disagree. Don't forget to comment a title you'd like me to deconstruct, or let me know what you think I missed with this one. Subscribe to the channel if you want to, but don't follow me. Follow the one who saves you. And until next time, keep looking up.
Just how did you get here, anyway?
Producer's a friend of mine. Just had a Teamster come and drop me off, you know.